how did you ever convince me to bring you along for this? I asked my business partner Sam as he skipped up the gangplank ahead of me towards the cruise ship. Somehow he had gotten me to hold his bag for a minute that had quickly turned into 10. I'm the one who booked the whole thing for us, remember? Because you're too computer illiterate to figure out how Expedia works. Now come on, hurry up! We're gonna miss the employee welcome seminar. I tripped over a loose board in the walkway, which distracted me momentarily from what he just said. The last part of it, anyways. I told you before, my credit card is maxed out. Because somebody borrowed it to buy NFTs. Now, don't start up on that again. Those Psychic Ranger rescue demons are gonna pay off big one of these days. Just you wait and see. Wait a second. What did you say about a welcome seminar? I thought we could just go straight to our... The large banner hanging from the ceiling greeted me with a truth slap to the face as we entered the ship. Welcome new cruise ship employees, it read, in big, bold letters. New worker orientation and onboarding day. I dropped our bags to the floor and looked at Sam. My eyes narrowed. What did you do? Don't tell me we're... Working on the cruise ship! Surprise! Isn't it great? We get to eat and drink and stay on the boat for free. And not only that, we get to go to all the shows and stuff too. No excursions. They were really vocal about that part. And no hard alcohol. But other than that, it's like we're free guests. Except we gotta work from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. They said their last psychic got sick or was thrown overboard or some shit. So, basically we're doing exactly the same thing as what we would be doing at home. This is supposed to be a fucking vacation, Sam. Shit. I just knew you were gonna ruin this for me somehow. This is why I was gonna go without you. Fucking Expedia. Don't blame me just because you don't have a working credit card. Now quit complaining. They see that and they're gonna dock our pay. Big smiles. Here comes the recruitment lady. Just pretend you're happy to be here, okay? I'm gonna kill you when we get... Hello! Nice to meet you! Oh, you must be the psychic. Sam told me all about you. I'm Deborah, the cruise director. Call me Debbie, though. Here are your employee badges and welcome packets. We have you set up in cabin 314A. And your studio will be in 438C. That's where you'll be doing your palm readings and seances. All the materials you requested have been provided. Although, we did have a bit of trouble finding... Let me see. Here it is. Spooky Halloween sounds for scaring little kids on cassette tape was all out of stock on Amazon. I hope that won't be an issue. Her face was unreadable as she said this last part. Don't worry, I got us covered, Sam said, pulling the dreaded cassette tape out from his pocket. Do we need to worry about music rights? Or is Monster Mash in the public domain at this point? As we got settled in our cabin, economy size, no view, I continued to berate Sam for his behavior. I can't believe you just booked us a job on a cruise ship for a week without asking me. This is too much, Sam. You went too far this time, man. I wanted to get away from all this shit for a while. You have no clue what I went through with that last customer we had. You told me about it like 50 times, dude. You saw hell, saved the lives of Samuel L. Jackson and his Hollywood compatriots, and stopped the unmaking of reality. It's not like you gotta make such a big deal out of it all the time. I saved the planet. We would be burning for eternity in a lake of fire right now if it wasn't for me. Just think about that for 2 seconds. Shit, you just reminded me. I forgot my bathing suit. Damn it, man. You want to go to the gift shop with me? I bet they got those king-size Snicker bars you like. I opened my mouth to say something argumentative, then closed it again. I was pretty hungry. Verging on hangry. Yeah, okay, let's go. We stepped out from the cabin, and I nearly ran into a portly man in a Hawaiian shirt, stumbling his way along the corridor. A dribble of drool was pouring from his lower lip, and he was mumbling something. Damn, dude. Little early to be getting sauced, ain't it? Sam said to the man, but there was no response. We walked away, and I looked back at him over my shoulder, noticing the man was dragging his left leg behind him, as if it were injured. Weird. Okay, where are we going? Sam asked himself, consulting a paper map he'd printed off at some point. I felt a flash of anger again, wondering how long he'd been hiding all this from me. Aha! Elevators are this way. Come on, man. We got a whole 12 hours before we gotta start working again. I heard this place even has a casino. Oh no. Don't even think about it. I know exactly how broke you are, which means you'll be diving into our business credit cards or our next paycheck for your frickin' gambling addiction. You can lose money at the racetrack when we get home. Let's do something fun. This is supposed to be a vacation. The next morning, we were hungover and broke as we struggled to find our way to the studio, where we would be conducting our palm reading and seance business. I had a vague memory of Sam losing at least $1,000 playing no-limit poker, but I was trying to convince myself it had been a bad dream. How much did we drink last night? Man, I don't know. But this boat rocking back and forth like that, ain't helping my hangover one bit. He held up a hand, then dove towards the railing, hurling over the side. Screams and disgusted sounds could be heard from below, a few seconds later, and I realized there was not water below us, but another deck, and quite a few people. Run, Sam told me, and I tried to catch up with him. I see you're finding everything okay? The face of Deborah, the cruise director, greeted us like a horror movie jump scare when we rounded the next corner. Sam tried to regain his composure, and wiped the spittle from his chin as I took her hand and began to shake it for some reason, and guided her strategically away from him. Yes, we're finding everything so well. Oh, good. Which brings me to the reason why I'm here. We had a bit of a hiccup with your studio, unfortunately. Someone broke in last night. Left a bit of a mess, it seems. I tried to look past her to the door of our studio, and caught a glimpse of what looked like a bloody smear across the door, before she moved to block my view. Is that blood? Ketchup, she countered, a little too quickly. Wow, that is weird. Does this sort of thing happen often? Ketchup vandals? I heard Sam throwing up again around the corner, and cleared my throat loudly to cover it up. The noise only seemed to make her more defensive for some reason. No, of course not. This is highly unusual, but it will give the two of you a chance for a morning off. While we clean up this mess, the two of you are free to enjoy the... She paused as Sam again hurled loudly around the corner. There was no mistaking that sound. That's actually good news, I stumbled. Sam and I aren't feeling that well. Must have been something we ate at dinner. I left out the part about how our dinner had consisted of 2 king-size Snicker bars, and little else except alcohol. For some reason, me saying this made her grin slightly. Oh dear, if you're sick, I'll have to get you both to report immediately to the ship doctor for a checkup. The infirmary is in the 217 block. Do you know how to get there? Of course, I said. I mean, we'll figure it out. Good. Make sure you get a clean bill of health before coming back up here. By then, we should have everything cleaned up and ready to go for you. And I hate to be a stickler, but I'll need to see a medical clearance form filled out when you get back. Purely procedure. We can't have a sickness going around unchecked, now can we? On a big ship like this? Full of people? A virus would spread like a fire. And you know what they say about fire on a ship at sea. We're having a campfire? Sam asked, returning to join us, wiping his mouth on his sleeve and missing most of it. You guys have the stuff to make s'mores? No. And no fires on the ship. Ever. That's a very serious offense. Come on, Sam, I said, pulling him away. We're going to get a checkup from the ship doctor. We need a clean bill of health before we can return to work. Oh, man. Seriously? I hate the frickin' doctor. So judgmental. All blood pressure this, cholesterol that. And they never give me any of those fruity suckers anymore. Just because I'm a grown man now. Make sure you bring the forms back with you, Debbie called after us. I really need to see them. Something in her voice sounded off, as if she were lying about something, or omitting something. When we got to the doctor's office, we found it was cramped, small, and full of sick people. Perfect, I muttered, making my way to the desk, past a group of pallorous elderly folks in Hawaiian shirts, their skin tinged green-gray with some sort of illness. They looked barely awake, swaying back and forth with the motion of the unfelt waves beneath us. "The doctor's not in yet," a grouchy nurse at the desk told us, handing us each a clipboard and a pen. "Fill these out and sit and wait for your name to be called." "There's nowhere left to sit," I pointed out. "The doctor's not in yet," she repeated, as if that explained everything. "Fill these out and sit and wait for your name to be called." "Well, shit, she sure is cheery," Sam said, as we found a place to stand, away from all the coughing and seasick-looking people. "Let's just get these filled out and get in line. I'm sure the doctor will be here any minute. And we're still getting paid either way." At that moment, a man wearing a white coat came through the door of the office. He was balding with tufts of gray hair, thick black glasses, and he was carrying a briefcase. Immediately, I pegged him as the ship's doctor, and elbowed Sam to point him out. "Whoa, what's up with that dude?" "He's the doctor," I said, looking back down at my clipboard. "I told you he'd be here soon." "No, I mean, what's up with the way he's walking?" I looked up again and took the man in for a second time, more thoroughly now. He was staggering through the clinic's waiting room, getting slower and more awkward with each step. "Sir?" I asked, standing up. "Are you okay?" He looked as if he were about to fall backwards, and I reached my hands out to steady him. Apparently, that was the wrong thing to do. He lunged forward, as if to bite me, then settled back, snapping his jaws again and again as if talking to himself. I took a step back, watching as he turned to me and bared his teeth at me in a chimpanzee grin and made an animal sound in the back of his throat. His reddened eyes twitched and then rolled back to the whites. The old man collapsed to the floor right in front of me, as I reached out too late to grab him. I got down on my knees beside him and called out to the nurse at the desk. "Help! I need some help over here!" But the nurse didn't do anything. She didn't even look like she'd heard me. No one in the waiting room was reacting, except for me and Sam. "What the hell's wrong with them?" I asked him, my eyes darting around to the other occupants of the waiting room. "Why aren't they doing anything?" "Typical bystander effect," Sam said, clearly remembering some documentary he'd recently seen. "These people are all fucking zombies. No one gives a shit about their fellow human beings anymore." I looked around at the other people in the waiting room. It definitely wasn't just bystander apathy. That usually resolved itself once someone stepped in and tried to help, like I was doing now. At that point, typically everyone wants to get involved. These people still weren't moving. They were staring vacant-eyed at the wall across the room, swaying gently back and forth in unison, like zombies. Reaching down, I felt for a pulse, and noticed the man wasn't breathing. And there was no heartbeat either. "There's no pulse," I said stupidly, and ran over to the nurse at the desk. "There's no pulse! The fucking doctor, he's dead!" "The doctor's not in yet. Fill these out, and sit and wait for your name to be called." I wanted to reach across the counter and grab her by the shoulders and shake her, but I restrained myself. Somehow, I knew it wouldn't do any good. She was swaying side to side as well, the same motion as the waiting patients. Her glassy eyes looked right through me. There's something wrong with all these people. A man is dead and they're acting like nothing happened. Sam was starting to get the picture, I realized. He was visibly nervous. "Hey, dude, if this guy's dead, maybe his ghost can give us some details. Why don't you summon him from hell or whatever it is you do?" "Definitely not that." I actually did have the power to talk to dead people, unlike those phonies and charlatans out there who just pick up on social cues and whatnot. Me? I'm terrible at picking up on social cues. Just ask my friends and relatives. Okay, no need to get defensive. Just do that Whoopi Goldberg ghost voodoo that you do so well. Pretend it's Kurt Russell spooning you at a pottery wheel, if that helps. Patrick Swayze. Hey man, whatever gets you going. I chose not to answer that, and instead looked at the dead guy, waiting for his spirit to rise up out of his body, willing it to do so. I got nothing. He's not there. There's no spirit doctor. It's just a corpse. We both stood there for a few long moments, and then Sam grabbed my arm very firmly. Ow, that hurts. Dude, who do you know that's got no spirit essence or whatever in the afterlife? Nobody. Everybody's got a soul. Except for podcasters and the parents of child actors. Oh, and zombies, I guess. Exactly. The undead. Fucking zombies, dude. They're here. And we're standing in the middle of a crowd of them. I looked around at the swaying, vacant-eyed faces around me. Somehow, I got the feeling if I reached out to touch any of their necks, I wouldn't feel a pulse. But I couldn't admit that to Sam or myself. Not yet, anyways. No. There's gotta be some other explanation for this. There's no such thing as zombies. It must be some sort of virus that's making them lethargic and causing them to lose focus. Sam rolled his eyes and grabbed my arm. If you're gonna be thick-headed about this, I'm just gonna take the lead on this one. Wouldn't be the first time I saved your ass. I didn't object, since we probably needed to find some sort of help for the doctor anyways. I didn't know CPR and wasn't about to practice on that guy. We turned the little doorknob lock, then left the clinic and shut the door firmly behind us, turning around a sign so that it read, "Clinic closed." That ought to do it. Let's get the hell out of here. What do you say we steal one of these life rafts? Sam was already reaching for a rope and trying to untie it, despite dozens of warning signs telling him not to. No! We need to tell that cruise ship lady what's going on. They could turn this boat around and get everyone to a medical facility. Maybe there's still hope for that guy. And the rest of those people. Those people in there with no pulse and no brain activity, who look like they're going to start doing the dance from Thriller any second. Yeah, let's go try and save them by talking to the cruise director, the head representative from this nightmare corporation, which is turning unwitting seafaring cruise passengers into mindless zombies. That sounds like a great frickin' idea. There is absolutely no evidence of any of that. I'm no doctor. I don't know how to check a pulse. Maybe they're all fine and we're just overreacting. This could be some totally explainable... I was interrupted by the sound of breaking glass, not too far away. Several screams followed, and then I noticed a bunch of people running for their lives on the lower deck. They were being chased by pale, sickly people with blood smears on their hands and around their mouths. That definitely wasn't ketchup. You were saying, genius? The door to the infirmary began to shake in its frame, as fists pounded on it from the other side, and then it looked like it was about to be knocked down, as the weight of multiple people began to body slam against it. I guess you could be right about the whole zombie thing. What do you say we run away now? Finally. That's the first sensible thing you said all day. We ran towards the first safe place we could think of, which was our private cabin, located far away from all the chaos happening on that section of the boat. Strangely, we didn't hear any announcement about an emergency on the overhead PA, and the further we got from the infirmary, the more normal everything looked. People were still swimming in the pool on the upper deck. We walked past smiling couples strolling along with mimosas in their hands, and folks playing shuffleboard. A child was running ahead of his mother as she called after him to slow down. They were heading right towards the chaos. These people have no idea what's going on, I whispered to Sam. I feel like we should be telling everyone, so they can try to get to safety. You want to start shouting about zombies on a cruise ship? No one's gonna believe that shit. I grabbed his arm and stopped him, causing people to turn and stare at us. Then make something up. Say there's a fire. Oh, and start a panic? Maybe people should be panicking. Panicking about what? A calm voice asked from nearby, and I saw cruise director Debbie approaching from out of nowhere. Several people were still watching us curiously, and she waved them away. Nothing to see here, folks. Just a couple people who had too much to drink. The bystanders continued on their way. A few shook their heads, and one guy gave me a look which said he knew I was white trash, even if I didn't want to accept that fact. We aren't drunk, I insisted. And you don't know what's going on. That infirmary was full of zombies. What? She started. Oh, hell, it's true, Sam cut in, now that the cat was out of the bag. They were clawing at our faces and they were going to eat our flesh. And then we heard glass breaking and people screaming and running and... Lady, there's a frickin' zombie outbreak on this boat. We gotta get the military up in here. Call in SEAL Team 6. Those AI-controlled super drones. Osprey helicopters and combat dolphins and shit. I was already shaking my head long before he got to combat dolphins. You both are clearly quite drunk. I could smell it on you. I couldn't prove it earlier, but I went and checked the tapes, and you both were out drinking until all hours of the morning. It's scientifically impossible for either one of you to be sober right now. Not only that, but I was called by security only a few minutes ago to be informed that you had barricaded the door to the infirmary, trapping everyone inside. They didn't open that door, did they? I begged. Please tell me they didn't open that door. It's currently being attended to by our locksmith. He's having trouble with it because someone stuck gum in the lock. I looked at Sam. I thought it might help, he admitted. That's it. Debbie had damn near seen enough. Security to Deck 4, Section 3. Okay, I get that Sam's story sounds crazy, but it's true. I was there. What about the breaking glass? The people screaming? I asked, getting more and more desperate. Likely one of the windows in the infirmary being broken. Someone probably has claustrophobia in there, and you just decided to hold them against their will. That is a criminal offense, by the way. The two of you are going to the brig. We spun around to see two large men wearing security uniforms, who held us in place with very little effort. You both are the worst employees I have ever seen in all my years working in this industry. I can't believe you got through the screening process. Well, I won't have you ruining my cruise. You will spend the rest of the week in the brig until we return to port. At that time, the cruise line will decide if we want to pursue criminal charges. I tried to yell something in protest, to explain the dire situation we were in, but she wouldn't listen. She just walked away, and sealed the fate of thousands of lives. The two security guards led us away from there, and back towards the infirmary. Apparently the brig, or boat jail, was in the same vicinity as the doctor's office. Guys, you really have bigger fish to fry right now, I tried to tell the two guards. Those people in the infirmary are sick with something. Something unlike anything anyone has ever seen before. A frickin' doctor tried to bite me. Oh, wow. So, what kind of walkers are we dealing with here? The blonde guard on the right asked. Are they runners like in Dawn of the Dead? Or shamblers like in Night of the Living Dead? I always thought they'd be shamblers, the brown-haired guard on the left said. If they're dead, they don't got the leg strength to be running around, let alone be doing Superman jumps like in World War Z. Z-Nation was by far the most ridiculous. But at least they were having fun with it, you know? Man, I missed that show. Boy, you guys sure know a lot about zombies, Sam said. Let me ask you something. What do you call that kind up there? Is it a runner or a shambler? Surprisingly, the man we'd seen from the night before was up ahead, stumbling toward us, wearing the same Hawaiian shirt he'd been wearing the last time we saw him. But now, the shirt was ripped and torn, and one of his sunglass lenses was broken, revealing a bloodshot red eye. He was drooling and limping along, dragging one leg behind him, which had blood dribbling down into his socks. Some fresh and some old. I wondered how much of it was his. "Pina colada," he gurgled. "Sir, are you alright?" the guard holding my arm asked. He eased up his grip, then turned to me before letting go entirely. "You run? I'll break your kneecaps." "Definitely. I'm not going anywhere," I said, then muttered under my breath, "You bet your ass I'm gonna stick around and watch this shit." His buddy said something similar to Sam, and the two of them wandered over towards the guy. They were about to say something to him when the radios on their belts began to go wild with voices. There was a lot of screaming in the background, making it difficult to hear what the person on the other end was trying to say. But I did hear the word zombie more than once. The two guards turned to look at us, then back at the man in front of them. "Oh shit," the brown-haired guard muttered, right before he was attacked. The man's jaw unhinged like a viper, and went straight to the guard's neck, tearing at the soft flesh around a major artery, until it started to squirt and pulse, shooting blood everywhere. Despite their size differences, the man in the Hawaiian shirt took down the guard with ease. I heard the guy wailing and screaming as blood continued to squirt from his neck. The other guard tried to pull the man off his friend, but had little success. They were all slippery with blood, and he couldn't get a grip on the man. He didn't have a gun or any other weapons, so there was little he could do against this guy. The man in the Hawaiian shirt then turned his attention on the other guard, attacking him like a rabid animal. The muscle-bound security guard didn't last 5 seconds before he was also down on the ground beside his coworker, bleeding from his neck and face, with patches of skin missing. A crowd of people were watching from a little ways away, screaming and calling for help. No one approached to help after the first few tried, as the pudgy guy was snapping his teeth and trying to bite anyone who got close, like an ill-tempered dog with a fresh meal. "What the fuck is wrong with him?" someone was screaming. "Someone call for help!" The guards' radios were still blowing up with chatter, too many people speaking too frantically to hear. And then, from behind them, more came. A crowd of at least a half-dozen zombies. And they weren't shambling. They were running. Pandemonium was spreading throughout the ship now, as the undead moved freely around the giant vessel. I half smiled briefly, thinking that Debbie was going to see she'd been dead wrong. But that smile quickly faded. If she'd listened, it might not have helped anything. But there was a chance she could have prevented all this. I suddenly wanted to look her in the eye again, to make her admit her mistake. But I doubted I would get that chance. "I don't think we can make it back to our cabin," I said to Sam. "There's too many of them. They're everywhere." "What about the studio?" Sam asked, and I realized that we weren't far from it. "That could work. I've got my keycard. So, assuming they didn't deactivate it already." A lady zombie with a brightly colored floral patterned sundress turned sharply to look at us, sniffing the air as we ran by. Then she turned and followed after us, running full tilt. "Shit, we got one right behind us." "I see her. That's the door right up ahead. You try to hold her off while I get it open." "Aw, hell no. Give me the keys and you fight off the bloodthirsty flesh eater." "Not a chance. You got us into this mess, Sam. Just kick her or something. Use that kung fu black belt you're always bragging about." We both knew damn well that belt was bullshit, and he bought it off Temu. He didn't even reply. Just shook his head sadly and stared at the incoming human hurricane of violence. "Oh God, tell my mama I love her. Tell my brother-in-law he's an asshole. Tell my sister she needs to get better taste in men and..." As he rambled away, I attempted the keycard over and over, each time getting more discouraged. It should have been flashing green, but instead it was red. Maybe they had disabled it after all. I slid the card through the reader one more time, just as the blood-smeared zombie got within swiping distance. Sam gave a desperate, flailing kick at the air, and somehow managed to catch her square in the jaw. She wasn't even down for a second before she was climbing to her feet again, moving with Olympic speed. When I looked back down at the door handle, I saw it was moving freely in my hand. The door swung open, revealing a dark studio. "Get inside, quick!" Sam didn't hesitate, and ran inside ahead of me. I followed after him, slamming the door shut behind me. Just as the zombie woman's body rammed into it. If she'd been a half-second faster, she would have been inside the dark room with us, in the pitch black. The thought of that made me shudder. "Get the light," I told Sam, and he slapped ineffectually at the wall a few times. Then, the room lit up around us with a glow of bright white fluorescence, revealing carnage all around us. We were standing in an abattoir, with a crystal ball atop a round table at its center. The bodies of dead cruise ship passengers were laying on the floor all around us, and were splayed out across the table grotesquely, their organs and guts hanging out. The pounding on the door outside continued, and got louder and more frenzied. Sam took slow, deliberate strides through the room, taking it all in. Then, he looked at me, as if struck by some revelation. "I told you that bitch was in on it. That damn Debbie, the cruise director. She knew all along we was telling the truth. She's probably working with whatever devious megacorporation is testing out this biological weapon on a controlled subset of the general population. And..." My partner was clearly going into conspiracy mode again, I thought, until the voice of Debbie, the cruise director, came through the PA system, mounted near the door of the room. "Congratulations. You figured it out. Maybe the two of you aren't as dumb as you look, after all." "You bitch," Sam yelled. "Why'd you do it? For money? How much did they pay you? I hope it was fucking worth it for all the people you killed." She laughed at that. "Oh, trust me. It was. Do you two have any idea how much the industrial war machine is worth? How much wealth and power these people actually have? Buying a cruise ship full of unwitting passengers to test out a bioweapon on? That's like buying a hat for these people. It's a drop in the bucket. They paid me more than I could make in 100 lifetimes working for this cruise line. And all they wanted was to make sure that this virus they created is 100% effective in a controlled environment. 100%. And once you two have been infected, that will have done it." We both took this information in for a few long seconds, and I took a moment to appreciate the fact that Bond villain speeches were a real thing employed by bad guys. This had been proven to me not once, but twice. "You mean everyone else on the ship is dead?" Sam asked. "Well, not quite," Debbie cackled. "More like undead." "How?" I breathed. "How the hell?" I was going to finish that question by asking how the hell she could do something like this, but she gave a more pragmatic answer. "It was quite simple, really. The buffet. You two would have been infected too, if you'd eaten the free food like everyone else, rather than buying overpriced candy bars from the gift shop. What is even wrong with you two? Maybe we don't like eating food that's been sneezed on, and infected with brain mutation viruses. Ever think of that? Ever think of investing in sneeze guards, you monster? I can't believe it's legal to operate a buffet without those." "We're in international waters," she mused, laughing like a movie villain. "We can get away with anything." "Well, You are not going to get away with this. Sam and I are more than capable of getting off this ship alive. And none of your goons are left to stop us. The pounding on the door was accompanied by more fists. It sounded like it was going to break down at any second. Oh, I don't need more security people. They were meant to be sacrificed. The same as you. By the way, have you noticed any of those dead people in there with you moving yet? Because they should be waking up any second now. The eyes of all the dead people on the floor snapped open simultaneously. There we go. I knew that virus would kick in eventually. Those bioweapons guys really know their stuff. 100% effectiveness. To be achieved momentarily, she said with finality. And I imagined her walking away from the microphone, leaving on some private jet ski she had hidden inches away from where she'd been speaking from. The two of us backed away from the rising zombies as they stood to their feet and began shambling toward us. There was no way out. There was nowhere to go. And to make matters worse, the pounding on the door turned into a violent thrashing, and the wood began to splinter and break. Pretty soon it was caving in completely, and I could see the undead climbing through the shattered door frame. They were piling into the room and filling it up rapidly, all of them surrounding us and closing in. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry I got us into this mess. Sam was rambling from beside me. I should have just used my credit card and booked us a real vacation like you asked. You told me you didn't have a credit card. I know. I lied. I'm a liar. That's what I do, dude. I'm sorry. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. Oh, Lord, please forgive me. The zombies were only inches away now, and I screamed the first thing that came to mind. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was something along the lines of, "No, stop, please, I don't want to die." And the weirdest thing happened. Completely unexpected. All the zombies froze. One zombie had his mouth wrapped around Sam's arm like it was a turkey drumstick, and he was about to sink his teeth into the flesh. But I'd stopped him at the very last moment. They had listened to me, and followed my instructions exactly. An idea hit me. "Let go of him," I said, and the zombie did just that. "Back up." They backed up. "Leave this room." They left the room. "That's weird," I said to Sam, as he rubbed his arm where the zombie almost bit him. "They're listening to me for some reason." "Yeah. It's like you gained the power to command the undead. Maybe you're actually from a long line of necromancers or something. That might explain your gifts. Plus, you did visit the underworld briefly, giving you even more zombie street cred. Maybe they think you're their boss now, instead of that Debbie lady." "You think?" He shrugged. "Try it out. See if you can command them to find cruise director Debbie and bring her to justice. Zombie cruise ship street justice. Yeah, it's worth a try." I stepped out of the studio with Sam and looked at the zombies. "Find Debbie the cruise director and, bite her or something." The zombies looked confused. One of them snapped at Sam, and a few others were suddenly very distracted by the look of his flesh, as I quibbled about how to word this. I almost felt bad for the woman now, even if she did deserve it. "I think you need to be more direct. Pretend you really are their boss. You can do this, dude. Give it some mustard." I took a deep breath and let it out. "Find Debbie the cruise director and bite her." That did the trick. The whole group of them turned and started walking away, heading off to look for Debbie, the diabolical cruise director, assuming she hadn't already fled on a jet ski. Once they were gone, Sam and I stood outside the door to the studio, looking both ways as if for traffic. "Clear," I said, and we both bolted for the first available lifeboat. "Told you we should have done this earlier," Sam muttered, while he untied his end of the boat, and I tried to figure out how to lower it down to the water. Surprisingly, it wasn't that complicated. There was a crank with a lever that could be operated from within the lifeboat. The oars and life preservers were also easily accessible. Within a few minutes, we were down on the surface of the water, rowing towards a landmass which looked to be a long way away. I thought it was an island by the looks of it, but well populated with people. Well, that sucked, Sam complained, while I rowed. Man, I thought this was supposed to be a frickin' vacation. Man, we just end up doing the same shit we do back home. Talking to dead people, escaping certain death at the last possible second, gambling. I didn't say anything, just sighed heavily. After a few more minutes of rowing, Sam spoke up again. Oh, hey, look, is that Debbie up there driving the cruise ship? He handed me a pair of binoculars he'd found in one of the cubbies, and pointed back towards the cruise ship. Indeed it did look like Deborah the cruise director was piloting the massive ship, as if everyone else were dead except for her. She had an irritating grin on her face as she drank some bright blue beverage from a straw. Suddenly there was a blur behind her, and she spun around, and then several more blurs were moving around her. She opened her mouth to scream, and then the cabin filled with the undead, and blood spatter painted the windows red, obstructing my view. Shit, looks like she got hers after all, I said, resting the paddles on my lap for a minute. I wonder what will happen to that big cruise ship now that... I broke off from speaking as the enormous ship suddenly turned, veering toward us. Oh, fuck. I grabbed the oars from my lap and changed directions quickly. I managed to paddle out of the way just before it blew past us, speeding up, going faster and faster. The waves it created nearly capsized us, but we managed to hold on just barely and stayed upright. The cruise ship continued sailing full speed towards the island, with its hotels and beachfront bars, restaurants, and other businesses. I wasn't sure which island it was exactly, but it was where we'd been headed. It had looked pretty nice, actually. Tropical. Like a real vacation destination. Not anymore. As the cruise ship ran aground, plowing through a pier and multiple beachfront structures, creating a plume of dust and debris to rise into the air, I began to paddle again. This time, towards the second nearest landmass, even further in the distance. I thought I could hear screams on the water, coming from land, but it might just have been seagulls. I told myself it was just seagulls. I wonder how much it'll cost those industrial war machine people to clean up that mess, Sam laughed. And for some reason, after all we'd been through that day, I found myself laughing right along with him. Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. If you'd like another way to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/JordanGroupeHorror. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow. And see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night.